Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining today. I see a couple students are still getting their sound going, but we'll get started anyhow. My name is Sarah Souza. I am the Assistant Director of International Admissions here at Duquesne University, and I am joined today by my colleague, Sienna. Sienna, what do you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Sienna D'Alessandro. I'm the International Services Coordinator at Duquesne. I do a lot of the programming, so we're going to be talking about things to do in Pittsburgh. I know upcoming in the spring, we're looking at a trip to Phipps, which is a conservatory, so lots of plants, lots of flowers, and a trip to Falling Water, amongst some other things, maybe a baseball game. So, yeah, it's time to learn about Pittsburgh.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for sharing those things. They're really
Mhm.
great trips. Both of us are from Pittsburgh, so I think you have the best hosts today. If you have questions about what you see, feel free to throw them in the chat. Sienna is going to be working on the chat and kind of jumping in here when she can. And also, I'm still going to give you a little bit of tips if you are still in the process of preparing to come to Duquesne, some things that you should be watching out for, and a little promotion for our upcoming webinars at the end. Those of you who have questions about housing, I have a little bit today, but we're going to focus on that on Monday. So let's get started straight away here and start with our PowerPoint. So today is all about living in Pittsburgh. As I mentioned, I am from Pittsburgh. Sienna's from Pittsburgh. I moved away from Pittsburgh for a long time, but I came back because it is one of America's most livable cities. So you might leave and you probably will come back. It's a great place to live. So let's talk about why we have this great city here. Well, we showed this map a lot, this picture of our city. On the right, you can see the entire downtown of Pittsburgh. And many of you may not know that in the United States, it's not common actually to live in the city center. So when we talk about Pittsburgh, we're talking about a lot of the outlying areas surrounding Pittsburgh, which are mostly residential, and the downtown itself. So we are called the city of bridges. There's Venice, and then there's Pittsburgh. So we have a lot of bridges here because we have three rivers. So you're always crossing a river. If you plan to drive, that might upset you a little bit in the end because you're in the wrong lane. You're going over a bridge, whether you like it or not. And so here we are, Duquesne University, right alongside the Monongahela River. You can see the arrow pointing down, the white arrow here. So we're located right in the city center. It's extremely convenient. All the buses come through the city of Pittsburgh and do transfers. So for our students, especially relying on public transportation, it is an extremely convenient location. And I'm going to introduce some neighborhoods around the downtown that are very lively and exciting for you to explore. And here's a look at our campus on the left. We have a beautiful green campus. When you arrive, it might be a white campus with snow, but it makes it look even more beautiful. So as you come for the spring, it'll get greener and greener and warmer and warmer. You will be coming at probably the coldest point. So just keep that in mind that it is not going to remain that way when you arrive, but be prepared. So let's keep going. Studying and working in Pittsburgh. Well, as I said, we have a beautiful campus and we are located in one of America's most livable cities. It is really an extension of our campus, the city of Pittsburgh. So our students regularly go to their internships. Most of our students walk, about 70% of them walk to their internships. We have famous sporting events. The ice hockey arena is actually located right across from where I park. So it's literally a 5-minute walk from our campus. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are one of the best hockey teams in the NHL historically. I don't really know how they're doing this year. Sienna, you can correct me. Okay. Sorry, I've been busy with my baby. So I haven't been following. But as Sienna mentioned, we might do another baseball game in the spring. So we try to get students out to enjoy that sporting events here in Pittsburgh because it is a really big part of our community in Pittsburgh. You see people wearing our city colors, which are black and yellow, black and gold. Everyone wears them. It's really common to see. And it's a fun way to support our city and show pride in our city. We have a lot of cultural events. If you like music, you like comedy, we have it all really in the downtown. So you can just check that out while you're here. And I encourage you. We have beautiful theaters. I was surprised when I went to New York City on Broadway and I found that actually our Pittsburgh theaters are more beautiful than many of the Broadway theaters. And Sienna knows this from personal experience that our theaters are beautiful here.
Yeah, I used to be a music major at Duquesne, so I've had lots of experience with the local theaters. Pittsburgh Opera is really fantastic as well. You can see top quality performers. There's a lot of students who will study in Pittsburgh before they go to Broadway or before they tour. So you can kind of see some of like talent before they're famous. This is where a lot of people start is in Pittsburgh. So there's really great opportunities to see live performances.
Yeah, and we really encourage you to do that. Our School of Music here is very vibrant and offers a lot of on-campus performances as well. Okay, so just to remind you where we are located, you should know this, especially for your visa interview. We are located in Pennsylvania, which is in the northeast of the United States. And these major cities are all within pretty easy transportation from our city. You can fly easily to them. They're all under 2 hours. I just was in Charlotte area myself last week for the holiday. It was a pretty easy drive, about 8 hours, but I also had a baby. So I think it'll be a lot easier if you drive with your friends. Uh, the Pittsburgh Airport's located very conveniently from our campus. So it's about 25 minutes, maybe even less, depending on the traffic. So very convenient. We do offer direct flights to many of these locations. And if you do have a car or you rent a car, DC is extremely close and it's a great place to visit. As a reminder, when you arrive, it is going to be winter here. Winter is not as cold as it is in Canada, for example, or in Boston. When it snows, it does melt, so it won't stay snowy forever. We kind of have a lot of fluctuation in our temperatures here. And so my tip is spend a little money on a good pair of boots and a jacket. You can do that when you arrive. You don't have to bring those items, but do not come in sandals, for example, when you arrive. You will be cold if you do that, and we don't want you to catch a cold when you arrive. So as we move through the semester in spring, it will be getting warmer. I would say our lowest temperatures in December, if we're talking about Celsius, is probably around a little below freezing, but they probably hover around maybe 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. In spring, we're going to go up to around 10, 12. And then as we're moving towards the end of the semester, it's going to be a really nice temperature, probably around 13, 14. Don't quote me on those things. I would check that on the internet to be sure. But just a look. So Pittsburgh is a city of neighborhoods that as many places are in the United States, we're built on our immigration, and our immigrants came to Pittsburgh mainly in years, 100 years ago for steel, as my family did. Now they come for many different reasons: technology, healthcare, education, like you all will be. And they form these wonderful small neighborhoods. So when you're in Pittsburgh, we always encourage you to check out all of these small neighborhoods. They all have a different cultural vibe, especially with some of the cultural groups that founded them. Like, for example, we actually have a neighborhood called Polish Hill, was founded by Polish people. So it's not on this map, but it's located in this area here. Oh, there it is, Polish Hill. You can't see it clearly on the map. We're located here in the Bluff, and right across the river from the Bluff are the South Side. So South Side is a famous area. Many students live there. There's also, it's a famous area to go out for nightlife. So that's, pretty good location if that's what you're interested in. Here, the Strip District is a famous area for grocery shopping, and you'll find most of your ethnic food stores there. So it's very convenient to campus because it's right near the downtown. And the North Shore here is where we have many of our sports stadiums, also nightlife, great river walk, and so on. So just to point out some things just very quickly here on the map of the Pittsburgh neighborhoods. Oakland is home to the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, and also just some fun museums, a lot of art, as you can see here on the bottom, and grocery stores. It's a wonderful small neighborhood with a lot to do. So if you're talking about international students in the city of Pittsburgh, many of them are in Oakland because we have those two huge universities there. You'll find yourself in Oakland at some point if you go to the museums. And as Sienna mentioned, there is going to be a trip to Phipps Conservatory, which is located in Oakland. Oh, I forgot to mention, sorry, the Strip District here in the corner. Strip District, as I said before, famous for shopping. You'll see here the food. It's kind of like an more traditional market, like you may be more accustomed to in your home country. Many people here shop in big stores like Walmart or something for their groceries, but the Strip District is a little bit more smaller scale grocers. They're specializing, for example, in specialty meats, specialty ethnic foods, or vegetables and fruits. So if you're looking for something for your country, I would start there in the Strip District. Cheeses, meats, and so on. That's the place to go. Also fresh fish. So we always recommend students to shop there. Shady Side and Squirrel Hill here are famous areas again for international students to live. I've lived there myself. I think, Sienna, you lived there in these neighborhoods. So pretty much when you're a student in Pittsburgh, you've lived in one of these neighborhoods. They're great for shopping. Squirrel Hill has amazing food these days. I think a lot of the East Asian community now settles in Squirrel Hill, which is a traditionally Jewish neighborhood. So it's just a very rich area, a lot to offer. So if you're looking for housing, these two areas, while they're not extremely close to campus, they're still easily busable, and they're great areas for students. So I would recommend to look in these areas, Squirrel Hill and Shady Side. Any comment about that, Sienna?
No comment about that, but we do have a question in the chat. So somebody asked if there are sources of halal food in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there are. That's a great question. So in the previous slide here, this Strip District, there's specifically halal grocery stores and food. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sienna.
No, that's correct. And I know there are that's where you would find a lot of the main ones, but I also know that there are smaller ones. I'm pretty sure there are in the neighborhoods we were just talking about. I know there's one in Bloomfield that's on Center. I've stopped by there before. And this doesn't have to do with neighborhoods of the city itself, I know that I think it's at the very least all of the chicken on campus is halal. And I'll have to see if there's more, but I know that there's a lot of food on campus there's options.
Yeah, we have a delivery service from is it Solemn's? Yeah, Solemn's is a halal restaurant and grocery store that's near to campus here, and they do bring prepared food to campus. So that's another great option for you. And when you come here to the US, questions like that, definitely come to our office, and we can give you the specific addresses when you're here. It'll be a little bit easier to kind of point you in the right direction. But that's what is great about these neighborhoods is, they have these specialty items and foods for you. So thanks for asking that question. Okay, moving on to a little bit. We talked a lot about what's available to you, what makes it a most livable city, and we have fun things to do too. The aquarium, the zoo, nightlife. Kennywood Park is one of the oldest amusement parks. You'll see it here in America. So when you think about a movie amusement park, it's probably been filmed at Kennywood. It's one of the oldest. It's a lot of fun. It's like going back in time. They have new roller coasters too for those of you that are interested. But some of these old wooden ones are a lot of fun, and it's a real part of the heritage of Pittsburgh. We talked about sports. On the left is our baseball stadium. It has an amazing view of the city. And as Santa said, we're going to try to get you there in the spring. And then on the right are the logos of our famous sports teams. We are nicknamed the City of Champions because we love sports so much and we're so good at it. The Pittsburgh Steelers, which is our American football team, is a famous franchise here. We have some of the most, I think we are tied for the most Super Bowl wins. The baseball team's not as good, but we love them still. Life on campus. Okay, so we are located in the neighborhood of the Bluff, and here is a couple pictures from our campus, a beautiful mural here that's prominently displayed on our main academic walk on campus. Many of you will be living on campus, so our exchange students, our first and second year undergraduate students, and many of our graduate students choose to live on campus because it's so conveniently located. When you're living on campus, you'll have the choice of one of those 7 living and learning centers. You'll have access to our power center, which is here on the top. That is our state-of-the-art gymnasium. So if you're into fitness, you should check that out right away when you come to campus. All you need is your student card, and it'll get you in. That's included in your fees. It is a wonderful facility. There's basketball there. So even though you're coming in winter, there's a lot of indoor sports that you can do there. And of course, you do typical training. There's yoga classes, spinning, everything. It's a great place. The bottom is a sample of what one of our rooms looks like. Of course, you need to bring the decorations and bedding. And we do have our own police department on campus. So if you ever have a concern, we'll give you those numbers when you arrive to campus, and you can call them for any concern you have, and they will help you. We have more than 200 organizations here on campus, and we encourage you to be involved. Our International Student Organization, the top one listed here, is a great resource for you. We will introduce you to that organization at orientation, and many of the students will be available to help introduce our city to you. So that's something, it doesn't matter how long you're here on campus. I know some exchanges are here in the webinar today. Even if you're here for one semester, you can take part, and I think students think this is one of the best parts of their experience coming to a private university is participating in these organizations. What's life like on campus? Well, when you live on campus, you eat on campus too. We have 11 different dining locations. Most of the students end up going to the main dining location, which is located in Towers. It's called Hogan, and it's a big buffet. There's so many different options. I like going there myself for lunch because I don't have to make it. And they have really everything that you can need. But we have many different options because, of course, you don't want to eat the same thing every day or the same place. So we have in our building, we have Chick-fil-A, which is famous for chicken in the United States, fried chicken, grilled chicken, everything chicken. And we also have a Starbucks located in the bottom of our building as well, which is famous, favorite of many of our students. So if you are living on campus, the meal plan will be included because you cannot live on campus without a meal plan. You have to live on campus with a meal plan because most of the accommodations don't have kitchens. So if you are in a building that has a kitchen, that is a different case. But if you aren't, which is most students, you will have the meal plan. That is a requirement to make sure that you eat. So there's a lot of options for you, vegan, vegetarian. Basically, all allergies can be accommodated at Hogan. If you have concerns, let us know. We can connect you with that staff. We have a very vibrant community, as I mentioned, on campus. So check out Campus Link when you arrive. It has all the upcoming events on campus. So we do a lot of stuff in this office, but there's so much more going on outside of campus. And we don't want you to only be with the international students either. We want you to meet a lot of our other students on campus. And these events on campus are a great way to meet people, have something fun to do outside of studying. So really check that out. There's always something going on, and it's a lot of fun. One of the things to check out is sports. In the United States, the athletics at the university level is really an exciting part of being on an American campus. So we are Division One at Duquesne University, which means we're actually at the top level of athletic competition. So when you watch our men's basketball, women's basketball teams, they're top of the line. So they're pretty competitive, and it's a lot of fun to see. The sporting facility where they play is amazing. It's beautiful. So definitely check that out. I'm sure you'll be friends with some athletes that are at Duquesne, and you'll be able to cheer them on. So it's a fun way to participate in the community at Duquesne. Here is a map of our campus. It is very walkable. I think 15-minute walk maximum, I think, from one side of campus to the other. So it's very doable. Living on campus makes it so convenient. You can really get anywhere you need to be easily. I'm sorry, I wanted to show you here. We are located here in the Duquesne Union, and Towers down here is where most students will end up living. This is our residential part of campus down here. For the main part, there are some other buildings, but most of you will end up living in Towers, and that's where most of you will end up taking your meals as well. When you come to campus, you'll check in there at Towers, but that is a different webinar called the Next Steps webinar, and keep an eye out for that, where we'll give you directions on what to do when you arrive to campus, because Sienna and I do not work 24/7, believe it or not. We do go home at night, so if you come to our office, it will be difficult for you to have any help because we're going to not be here after 4:30. So that's where you go to report at Duquesne Towers, and they're there 24/7. Let's talk about the undergraduate housing for a minute. As I said, all students are required to live on campus for 2 years as an undergraduate, the first 2 years, and the exchange students. So you want to be sure that you have signed up for housing. I know it is delayed, so we have a separate housing webinar on Monday. The Residence Life has informed me that they were making some new forms, so it was a little bit delayed, but do know we have space for you. I just want this to be on your list of things to do. And Sienna is working diligently to secure all your spots, especially if you're an undergraduate, exchange student, or requesting housing. Let us know if you're a graduate student and you want housing, because that's a different category. So that we need to make special arrangements for. But for those of you that are undergraduates, if you're deposited, if you're an exchange student, if you have your visa, we are working to secure you housing, even if these forms haven't been available to you yet. So I just want to let you know about that. Anything you want to add about that, Sienna?
No, I think for the most part you covered it. I just know that this might not be an issue, but just to throw it out for any exchange students in here, because you're in our system a little bit differently, when you get the email to fill out the forms, try to do them as soon as possible, because for some reason last semester we had people who were filling them out, but filling them out a little late, and it was resetting. So I don't know if that'll be an issue this time. We talked about it before, but just keep that on your radar.
Yeah, thanks, Sienna, for pointing that out. And I don't think the forms are available yet, but you can always check your Duquesne email because that's where they're going to go. I know Residence Life told me they were a little bit delayed. So check your email. We will have a spot for you. Don't worry about that. Spring is a little bit easier in that way because fall we have all the students coming in. So, but we still need you to check your Duquesne email for those housing
Oh,
notifications. Mhm.
and I did, sorry, I'm like checking out the chat right now. And there was somebody said, do we have to leave after the second year? You don't. You can apply to stay on campus after the second year, or you can choose to leave.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great to point out. And as I said, a lot of our students do choose, especially internationals, because apartments, one of the issues with apartments is that in the United States, they don't have furniture. So for international students, especially, it can be an issue because going to live off campus is not just the rent. It actually comes with a lot of other expenses on top of it because it's going to come with really nothing. So that's one reason why a lot of our international students do continue to live on campus, even as graduate students. Okay. So graduate housing, if you do want to live off campus and you're a graduate student, then we have some guides for you. And as I said, we're going to be talking more about this in depth on Monday. But basically, if you're living off campus, Sienna and I can't find apartments for you. So that's going to be more on you to find. And we do have resources here, but again, it's on you, and that's why some international students choose not to do it. Or maybe they come here first, they live on campus for a little bit, then they look and find something when they are a little bit more familiar. So it's up to you what you want to do at that point, especially if you're a graduate student. But keep in mind, this office is limited in our resources. We aren't going to find the housing for you, so we do have these resources to provide for you to assist you. And a little fun fact here, we are home to over 60,000 students in Pittsburgh. We have a pretty big student population. Okay, whoa, got ahead of myself. So just a note about working on campus, I get a lot of questions about this. We do have opportunities for international students to work on campus. If you want a job on campus, you can always work a job on campus. If Duquesne is paying you, that's fine. You just can't work more than 20 hours a week. But if you're looking off campus, that's a different story. And that is different regulations depending on your visa, J1 or F1. And you need to ask our office about that. So my rule of, thumb or my piece of advice for you, if you want a job, come to our office and talk to us first. It's always better to ask us before you do something because there are rules with your visas. Many of you have never operated in another country before as a foreign national. It's not easy. So there's different rules, and we want to guide you so things are easier for you. So come talk to our office about what you're thinking, or if you have a job offer, talk to us first and we'll let you know what you need to do. We do have CPT opportunities. Those are for students that are already uh, basically, it's an internship component that the government allows for F1 students. So if you're already an expert, have some type of training in your field, you can start this. We typically don't see students start this in the first year because they don't have any expertise in their field yet. So that's a limitation more to students if you're coming as a transfer student or if you already have training in your field. I see a couple comments in the chat. Are we good, Sienna?
Yeah, a lot of them I'm just answering privately,
Okay,
but if there's something that applies to everybody, I'll bring it
sounds
up.
good. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's move on. And again, CPT, if you're interested, come talk to us. My colleague, Mary Beth Morris, who works on immigration, will be happy to guide you. So next steps, preparing for your arrival. Again, we're going to have a webinar focused on this, so watch for that webinar. But I just wanted to remind you, if you do not have your I-20 and you're planning to come for spring, that's tough. Okay, we're pretty much this is down to the wire. If you don't have an I-20 and you're looking at spring, we may need to talk to you about moving it to a different semester. So we're really, this is pretty much it. The real limitation is that the Christmas holiday is going to close your embassy, so it really limits the amount of visa spots available for you moving forward. So some of you may have gotten an email from me before Thanksgiving explaining that we're finishing up issuing I-20s, and there was some panic there, but it is really late. So if you're in this position, reach out to us and we'll guide you on what your best next step would be, if it's moving to another semester or if it's trying to pursue the visa for spring. So after you receive your I-20, this is the steps that you need to do. You need to schedule your interview. You have to pay the I-901 fee before you schedule your interview. So if you have the I-20 and you haven't paid that I-901 fee, that's a problem. Pay that I-901 fee because you have to schedule your visa appointment. So don't wait. As I said, you may not celebrate the Christmas holiday, but keep in mind the American embassies are going to celebrate that holiday, and so there will be closures. And that limits the amounts of spots available to you. I mentioned the I-901 fee. Students need to pay with their I-20, and that is here for you. We send out really a lot of reminders to you for that. So do pay that fee. And that sticks with your number. So even if you don't come next semester, it'll stick with your CVIS number. So then when you do come, the fee's already paid. So you don't have to pay it again. Your enrollment deposit is required for you to schedule classes and for you to request housing. So if you haven't paid the enrollment deposit and you have your visa, definitely pay it. Exchange students, you're a little different. Don't worry about this. I take care of that in a different way for you. But for students who are direct enroll students, which is most of you, if you have not paid this deposit, you will not be able to request housing and you will not be able to schedule classes. We need to know you plan on coming, and that's what this deposit is really for. So again, if you have questions about the deposit, please reach out to us. We'll be able to answer them for you specifically about your case. And you do that on your application portal, the enrollment deposit. Okay, so that's what I have prepared today. I wanted to remind you again, Monday, we have a webinar about housing. It is December 4th. It's at the same time of today's webinar, our 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can register at this link here. I'll also send out an email that you can register to participate. So again, we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about what you need to do. I'm still getting some information from our residents live, so keep in mind, I don't arrange housing. We work with Residents Life who does do that, and we facilitate what we can for you with our on-campus housing. Definitely, we will have a place for you if you let me know you're coming, you let Sienna know you're coming. Let us know when you're coming, and we will arrange for your accommodation on campus if you're staying on campus. If you're choosing to stay off campus, then you need to let us know when you're arriving to Pittsburgh, but Sienna and I aren't going to be able to find apartments for you. So you need to have a plan, and we'll talk about that on Monday. So please sign up if you need assistance with housing. So I have our international admissions email here. You can send all inquiries there. If you send me an email, you don't need to send Intel Admissions an email. So we check both and we all get the email. So don't send us both an email. If you're already working with me on something, go ahead and send me the email directly. That's fine because I already know what's going on with your case. So now just to open it up for questions, Sienna, do you want to?
Yeah, there are some more direct questions in the chat right now. I'm gonna try to get to as many of them as I can, but if your questions are kind of more personal to yourself and what you're going through, I would say if after this, if you could email them to the international admissions box, that would be the best way for us to answer some of them.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Sienna. That's true. With a specific question about your application, your I-20, your housing, do reach out to us directly because we need to look that up. We work with probably more than 1,000 students at any point. So it's we try to remember all your names, and actually most of the time when you come to campus, I will know your name because I've worked with many of you. So one-on-one, and Sienna is the same way. But keep in mind, we do have a large pool of students, so we may not have your particular case memorized. So do give us a chance and send your D number into Intel admissions and your question specifically, and we'll be able to answer it. For the exchange students, you're welcome just to email me directly because I work with you directly on your stuff. Any other questions? I'm going to stop sharing here. Do keep a lookout for our upcoming webinars, and we'll be happy to answer your questions about that specific webinar. I saw a question that was to me directly, if the deposit's refundable. That's a great question. It is refundable if you have your visa denied. So my advice to you is, if you are waiting for your visa appointment at this point and it's coming up soon, let us know your appointment is coming up. Please, you can email Intel Admissions, tell us when your appointment is scheduled. You don't need to deposit if your appointment's coming up. If you have your appointment, you have your visa, you passed the interview, you have your visa, deposit. Okay, now it's time. We need to start making plans for you. We could kind of wait to a certain point, but there comes a point where we need you to deposit to move forward with the housing, as I said. So that's my biggest concern with students waiting. But we are able to refund it if you get a visa denial, but it's something I don't like to do unnecessarily. So if you're not sure you're going to be here for spring and you're not deposited, just wait. And you can actually reach out to us and we can counsel you on what the advice would be for the deposit. Okay. Any other questions?
I see one that might be good for everyone. If someone paid the CBIS fee in July, is it going to be active next year?
Right. So there are regulations on that. There's a time frame. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. On the CVIS website, there's a FAQs. And if you email Intel Admissions that question, we can send out those FAQs. It's very specific in terms of how long of a period the CVIS fee is good for on your I-20. So send us that question and we'll be happy to send the link to you. I also see a question about arriving earlier. So there's a start date on all of your I-20s or DS 2019s, and that start date for spring is going to be January 9th, and that's because that is our International Student Orientation, which is for everybody. It's mandatory. So that's your start date for, according to the government, and that's when you can enter the country 30 days before that. The start date of classes is January 11th. So those are two different dates. So obviously you have to come to campus earlier than January 11th to attend our International Student Orientation. So for those students who are living on campus, you will be able to move in early to some housing. It may not be your exact room, but we will give you a place to stay. So email us when you plan to arrive to campus. So if you're staying on campus, then we can house you on campus early, and that's not a problem. For those of you who are not living on campus, do not expect to be able to live on campus for the first month while you look for an apartment. That's not going to work because the problem is we have students living here already. So you can't live here for a month while you look for an apartment. And that'll be an issue, obviously, because when the students come back, they're not going to have a place to live, and then they've paid to stay on campus. So if you're looking for an apartment and you need a place to stay in the meantime, you can ask us, but I would not rely on being able to stay on campus. And certainly you cannot stay on campus after January 9th if you're not living on campus. So that is something you should not rely on. But if you are living on campus and you're arriving early, which you should be, let us know that date and we will talk to Residence Life and arrange for you to have an early move in. So those are some dates you need to share with us. It seems that the questions have tailed off, so thank you all for joining. Please do join for that webinar on Monday all about housing, and we can answer your specific housing questions, and hopefully I'll have a little more information for you from Residence Life directly. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to us on Intel Admissions, or you can email me directly, please do. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to welcoming you to campus. Sienna is working hard to plan a wonderful orientation, and we will meet you all in person, so we can't wait.